There's no shortage of misconceptions surrounding street photography. I know I've, believed things that weren't true or were partially true when I started out in street photography. And I think a lot of people starting out in street photography have misconceptions about it. And as you learn more about the genre and street photography as an art form, you start to get a clearer picture of things. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some street photography misconceptions that I've felt in the past, and also that I've seen other people say or communicate online, and sort of debunk them. So the first thing I think a lot of people assume is that you need an expensive camera to do street photography, and that's just simply not the case. Street photography is really one of the most accessible types of photography. All you need is one camera and one lens, and these days there are just a ton of options out there on the used market in particular that will give you excellent bang for your buck. As for new cameras, there are also some relatively affordable options like Fujifilm, Micro Four Thirds, Sony, and Nikon. I guess it runs the gamut from all brands. They all have, usually the smaller sensor sized cameras are more affordable, and those are great options to look into when you're starting out in street photography. Me in particular, I only have this one camera right now. This is a Ricoh GR3, and it has a fixed 28mm equivalent lens. And I got this back in I think it was 2019 when this camera first came out. And I think it's under $1,000. And so I've had it for 6 years, and it's still going strong. And so that's a pretty good value for the money. If you take the total cost and divide it by the number of years I've had it, it'd be I don't know, a couple $100 a year or whatever. It's really not too bad. So the second misconception I'll talk about is that you need to be an expert in using your camera and an expert in the technical side of photography, and knowing how to get proper exposures. So while I do think that it's good to take the time to learn how to use a camera, and how ISO works, how shutter speed works, and how your aperture works to increase or decrease the amount of light that's coming into the camera. So I honestly don't think it takes that long to learn that stuff. It's really not that complicated. So for one, if you're gonna get into photography, you might as well learn that. But with that being said, you honestly don't need to know all that stuff. You can use P mode if you want, which is basically automatic mode without the flash. Street photographers like Martin Parr in particular, I remember seeing him somewhere say that he frequently uses it. And while I don't think P mode specifically is the best mode to use, I personally use aperture priority mode, because that gives me control over my depth of field for my photos. But it's still a valid way to use your camera. And I would imagine Martin Parr knows very well how to get a proper exposure with his camera. He just chooses to use P mode because that frees his mind up to be able to think about composition and light, and the subjects that he's photographing, and looking for moments or whatever. It's just not necessary to like be in full manual all the time and, you know, constantly dialing in your settings. You can use the help of your camera's automatic modes or semi-automatic modes to, you know, get proper exposures, and that, you know, it just frees your mind up, frees your energy up to think about what's more important, in my opinion, which is thinking about like your composition. So the third misconception I see is basically that you need permission from people to take their photos in public places, and that's, you know, that's just wrong for the majority of countries. I'll speak for the United States. In our law here, like in public places, you don't have like an expectation of privacy. So to do street photography, you can take photos of people in public places, and that is perfectly legal. It might upset some people, but that's different from, you know, the law and like what you're able to do. So I'm speaking about doing, you know, strictly street photography. And basically with street photography, you're doing it for, you know, as an art form, and to like, you know, maybe create a photo book, that sort of thing. This doesn't apply to like advertising. That's different. Like if you were going to create candid photos of people, like for the purposes of advertising, then you would need a model release. But like, I don't even think that's worth mentioning here because we're talking about street photography. So the fourth misconception I'll talk about is that street photography is creepy in some way. And I just totally disagree because of the body of work and like the results that you get from doing street photography. Like when I see a street photography book that is like well presented and well done, I'm just like, this is like a beautiful piece of art. And to just like diminish it to something that's like creepy, that just makes me like, it just makes me be like, you're just like ignorant or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I can see like, you know, the idea of feeling uncomfortable if a street photographer photographs you, but so like, you know, like the act of it and the result of it are, you know, slightly different. But I just think that because the, you know, ultimate purpose of it is to create art, that to just like label it as creepy because of that, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I think part of this idea that street photography is creepy in some way is partly because of street photography being lumped in with like other, like, not even genres, just like weirdos, like people doing like illegal things, like, you know, the creeps who go around like doing like upskirt videos or whatever. That's creepy, that's disgusting, but that's not street photography. So the fifth misconception about street photography is that you need to do it in a big city. And I'm definitely susceptible to this, actually, because I'm from Kansas City, and, you know, it's like it's a mid-sized city, and the city is, you know, not the most walkable place. Like the like destruction of neighborhoods to put in highways like really like harmed the city, in my opinion. And so I have always, you know, felt kind of like it wasn't the greatest place to do street photography, partly because there's not a ton of people walking around. Like most people are like getting around in their cars, and things are changing there for the better. Regardless, like I think that I need to put you know, that aside, and basically when I'm there, I'm not living there currently, but you know, when I'm back there visiting, or if I ever move back there, that like I need to put all of that aside and like, you know, deal with what I have there. And basically, I think you just need to be more patient is part of it, and pick your spots and like maybe do more of the fishing street photography technique, and you know, find some places, some backgrounds that work, and also obviously know the pockets of the city. By doing that, by knowing that, like where there is foot traffic, you can give yourself like more opportunities to photograph people. I'll also say that the cool thing about photographing in, you know, mid-sized cities, smaller cities or towns, is that you're going to be like, you're going to stand out among other photographers, street photographers or whatever type of photography, simply because like you're the only one photographing it. Like everybody else is off in like New York City or wherever. And so I feel like you do have a unique edge there to show something unique. The last misconception I'll talk about in regards to street photography is that you have to be an extrovert. And I mean, I honestly, I don't even know, like I'm, you know, sort of in between being an extrovert and an introvert. But it really depends on the situation for me, I guess. But like I don't think you need to be like some like super talkative, outgoing person to do street photography. Like if you want to be a fly on the wall, like you can easily, well, I don't know about easily, but you can do that. And you can oftentimes take photos of people in public places without them even noticing you, because a lot of times they're just going about their day. They're going about their lives. They got work, they got responsibilities. And yeah, so a lot of times they don't even notice you. So we have successfully crushed these misconceptions about street photography into smithereens. I'm gonna go now.